Hello everyone. So do you ever have an idea and you're not sure if it's going to be a good idea or a bad idea, but you're going to do it anyway? That's what we're doing today, because since I got this bed from Cedar Planters and it's sitting here, I can't just leave it empty. So I ordered 200 bulbs from Color Blends to toss them in there. So right now the bed is empty. I'm going to take the cover off and go through everything I'm going to do, but two reasons why this might not be the best idea. One, it is the middle of December. Now don't be confused by my lack of coat. It is 50 degrees, which means we are out in t-shirts in Chicago. Windows are open. I think tomorrow is going to be the same. But typically, if you live in Chicago, the recommendation on when to plant your bulbs is October and November, because you want the bulbs to be able to root into the soil a little bit before it freezes solid. And when you are growing things in containers, the soil freezes faster than if you're growing things in the ground. So I'm hoping that since it's been a little bit warmer recently, and I do have this black cover on it, which should absorb some of the sunlight, that it'll stay warm enough for the bulbs to root in. So fingers crossed that next year I do have this full of bulbs. The other reason this might be a bad idea is that I am not keeping this bed in this place. I'm going to move it over where my greenhouse is right now, but I put it here because if the bulbs do survive, I want to be able to see them from inside the house, because it still might be pretty cold. I might not be hanging out here. I have bulbs in these 3 beds behind me, so I thought it'd be really pretty to have some bulbs here, again, if they survive. So even though I can move this when it's empty, like right now, as soon as I fill it with soil, I cannot. And I don't think my husband and I will be able to carry it on our own either. So what I'll have to do before I put in summer annuals is put the dirt in like a tub. I have a tub that I store some of my soil in. So scoop it out, put it in that tub, move the bed, and then dump it back in. So that's gonna be my plan, I think. But when I have space to put something in, and I did have bags of soil, I feel like I just need to put bulbs in there. I have to put something in here. So that is what we are going to do today. Now, a few things about this bed and this cover so far. So first of all, the bed itself underneath here, I did get sent from Cedar Planters, so I did not pay for it. I'm doing some reels in return for them sending me this bed. I did purchase this cover, and then there are feet on the bottom of the bed just to protect my deck a little bit more. Here's where it gets interesting though, because this says it is waterproof, which most of the material is, and so I thought it'd be perfect to put on top to keep the bulbs from getting too wet. However, there are ventilated pockets on the sides, which isn't a problem. There's also a ventilated pocket here, and I just poured, because we haven't had really much rain or any snow yet, so I poured a pitcher of water on top, and it definitely sinks down into here. So I think I might, yeah, I do have extra cages. I would put a cage in there so this sticks up a little bit more so that the cover isn't sloped down towards this ventilated part. So I just thought that was odd. Like if it's considered waterproof, but then water can just go right through this vent. Now I'll bring it up close in just a second. There is like a layer over top, but it doesn't prevent stuff from getting in there. So I imagine it does keep it more water-free than if I just left it open, but it's not 100%. What I did also order though, to take advantage of some of the sales, is a greenhouse cover made for these beds. So I'm gonna see if that is water resistant, and maybe I'll swap this out. I'm not sure yet, but we're gonna go ahead and see what I can do to make this work. But I'm really excited. So let me take the cover off, and then I'll go ahead and show you how I basically fill a large container or raised bed the first time I get it. First, I need to take the cover off. And yeah, so I put in here the lining. I think you can see water is definitely dripping off of it. So first thing I'm going to do though is line this inside of the raised bed. Most cedar beds, I don't think all of mine, but most of mine do come with a fabric liner. I know that all of my Agronomics beds did, and they have completely dissolved now. So I don't have any more fabric liners in there. And the soil that's in there, I never completely change it out to put another liner underneath. This one does seem a bit thicker, so we'll see how long this one takes to disintegrate. If it does, my Agronomics beds, the oldest one is 2019, so 5 years old. The other ones I think are at least 2 to 3 years old, so that's how long I have had them. But I think that's good, and then the excess I'm gonna tuck in once I have the dirt in here. A few things about the bed so far before we fill it. In general, I like the bed itself, and again, they did send this to me, but I can say my own opinion and whatever I want. I now have 4 different brands of raised beds, all that are cedar. So I want to do some sort of review once I use this for a bit of time. But things that I do like about this are it has metal legs, which all of my other ones, they're covered in tarps. You can't see them, but all my other ones have wooden legs. I am not a wooden deck expert, but from what I've read, because wood is porous and does hold water, wood on wood, so the wooden leg on the wooden deck isn't the best because they can both hold moisture and be touching each other, which can lead to not good things on your deck. Whereas these have metal, and so they are not porous. They will not hold any water. So I do like that this is the only raised bed I have with metal legs. It did take a little bit longer to put together because you actually had to screw everything in. The beds under here came put together. The other beds, you just like slide them into each other. There's no actual tools. But I mean, it took me like maybe 20 minutes to put together, and I can move it on my own before there is soil in it. I did add, like I said, the legs at the bottom. That's more just to prevent it from scratching if I drag this, because again, the bottom is metal. So with those legs, I'm hoping that also protects the deck. I don't know what they're made out of, but not wood, nothing porous. So overall, I do like it. I like that there are accessories that come with it. If I ever have my own company, which I don't think I want to do, I would definitely do elevated beds and then all of the accessories I've ever wanted for elevated beds. That would be my ideal. Now, I am a little bit sad about the waterproof covering. Again, I don't know why there's a vent on the top that lets in water if it's waterproof, but I think I can find some workarounds for that. I'm hoping the greenhouse, though, is waterproof, and then I'll swap that out, and then I can actually see the bulbs starting to grow. So anyway, let me show you now how I fill up a raised bed. It's really pretty simple because this is such a large container. I like to use old soil first, any garden waste in there, and then I'll put in new soil, because I would rather refill smaller containers with all new soil than use all new soil in a large container. So I have here some garden waste, some pots that I'm going to put in there, and then we'll fill it with potting soil. So let me get all the old soil in there first. All right, hopefully this just dumps out. Let's see. Pretty easy, not too bad. You next. Luckily, because it is so warm, the soil is not frozen in the pots anymore. All right. I think those 2 boxes are enough because I do want fresh soil to be right underneath the bulbs for the roots to grow into, and then fresh soil on the top. So let's go ahead. I know each of these bags is 1 cubic foot. This total is 6 cubic feet, but I'm not planning to fill it all the way up to the top, so I'm hoping the amount of soil that I carried up here, which I thought I was done carrying up soil for the season, and I am not, but I'm hoping that what I have is enough. Now these tulip bulbs want to be, I think it was 5 inches deep from the bottom. I have just about that much left to fill and still have a few inches on the top. So I'm gonna take this and just dump it in and then make sure that all the bulbs are facing the right way up and then cover it up. Now these are Sol Array, I think is the variety I got, S-O-L Array, and I got 200 of them, and I'm hoping that they don't all rot over winter. So let's get them in the bed. This should actually go quicker than my normal planting, where I have to dig the holes myself and then put the bulbs in, because I'm literally tossing them all right on top. So the bulbs are now in the bed. What I'm going to do is space them relatively evenly. When you're growing in containers, you can usually just ignore the spacing requirements. It'll create a fuller look. And I'm just going to make sure that I put the side up where the shoot's going to come out and the side down where the roots are going to come out. So that's what we're going to do. Now, one good thing is that a lot of these are already kind of pre-sprouting, so at least I know they aren't already rotted like the ones I ordered from Amazon last year. Now, technically, the instructions that came with these bulbs, that one looks rotted. Let's not put you in there. Now, technically, the instructions that came with these bulbs said that you don't really have to worry about putting the right end up because they'll find their way, but I would rather make finding their way as easy for them as possible. All right, I think this is my it's good enough point. So now I'm going to cover these with the 5 inches of soil. last step now is to put the cover back on, but again, since it's not completely waterproof, maybe I'll use some garden waste in the middle, again, just so it kind of flows away from that vent instead of flowing towards that vent when it rains or snows. So let's grab some dahlia stems. You know, we'll put the rotted bulbs in there, because why not? I think I have some more garden waste over here. Put in this random pile. And we'll put some more annuals on the top, and I think that should be good. Well, let's try it out. Now this cover is very snug. So at first I thought I got too small of a size, but no, it's just like the exact same size as the bed. So I think this actually could work. I don't know if you can tell, but it is a bit of an incline now up to this vent. So, well, let me bring you around to the side. So there's this covering, which is waterproof, but then underneath is that vent where you can see into the bed, which again, ventilation is good so that it doesn't stay too moist in there and we get some airflow, but at the same time, then it makes the top not waterproof. I'm actually gonna go grab another pitcher of water and see what happens when I pour it on top of here. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, it's running away from it. Okay, that is perfect. Well, that's it. I can't believe how much faster it is when you're filling the bed with soil, adding the bulbs, and putting the rest of the soil on top. I really, really hope this works out because I will be so happy to look outside and see, well, I guess 197 bulbs because 3 of them seemed like they were rotten. The water is pooling now, so it's not going through the cover, which is great. I did not water them in because, again, too much moisture is what's killed my bulbs in the past. If any does happen to get in there, or just humidity from this cover, I don't want it to stay too moist, so I'm going to err on the side of not too much water. And then if I get the greenhouse, well, I'm getting the greenhouse, I think it's coming this week, I'll see if I want to swap it out, because I guess I don't know if it'll hold up to snow or not, so I'll have to see. And then as what's in here, if it does start to break down and this starts to slope in the middle again, I'll just pop a pot or something underneath it. But that's it. So on the back deck now, I have 4 raised beds. On the front, I have 6 raised beds, and I feel like I'm at my limit now of elevated beds. One of the things I want to do next year is have more larger containers and fewer small pots, like 8-inch pots sitting around, because these obviously hold on to water a lot longer. So if we leave for a weekend, I can water these, not have to worry about any sort of maintenance. Also, setting up irrigation is a lot easier if you have fewer larger containers versus a million small pots all over. We'll see if I stick to that, because typically when I have empty pots, I fill them anyway. So we'll see how my garden ends up next year. But hopefully in April or May, I will have a garden full of tulips. I'm keeping all my fingers and all of my toes crossed. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.